The day humanity left, the grand hall of the Galactic Council was brighter than ever, its golden lights shining on the faces of every important alien in the galaxy. Representatives from every world were there, tall and blue-skinned Valari, sharp-eyed, Zeln, the slow-moving, stone-like Bryn, and hundreds more. Every seat was filled, and every eye watched the center of the room, where the humans sat in silence. Humans had always looked out of place here. Their skin came in different colors and shapes. Their clothes were simple compared to the shining armor and jeweled robes of the others. But tonight, everyone could feel something different in the air. A coldness, a tension that made even the bravest warriors uncomfortable. At the table, the human leader, Ambassador Elena Reyes, stood up. She was not tall or strong, but when she spoke, her voice was clear and calm. "Council members," she said, "we have tried our best to work with you. We have shared our knowledge, our help, and our hope. But it is clear now that our voices are not welcome here. So tonight, humanity is leaving the Council. From now on, we will walk our own path." For a moment, the hall was completely silent. Some aliens blinked in confusion. Others scoffed or even laughed quietly. The oldest Valari leader, Lord Veron, leaned over to a companion and whispered, "Let them go. What can they do without you?" Elena did not look back. She nodded to her team, and one by one, the humans stood and gathered their things. There was no anger, only sadness in their eyes. They moved slowly, their footsteps echoing in the great hall. A young Zeln, new to the Council, watched them with a strange feeling in his chest. He remembered when humans had first joined. They were always asking questions, making jokes, and offering to help with any problem. Some of the older members thought they were too curious, too emotional. But over the years, humans had helped solve some of the galaxy's biggest problems. They had invented new machines, stopped wars before. They began and even saved the Council capital from a deadly virus. But now, as the humans left, nobody thanked them. Nobody asked them to stay. At the main doors, Elena stopped and turned around. Her eyes met those of every Council member. She said nothing, but her look was heavy with meaning, almost like a warning. Then she walked out, and the doors closed behind her with a deep final sound. The Council leaders relaxed. The hall felt empty, but they told themselves it didn't matter. Lord Veron stood and called the meeting to order. "Now, let us move on to real business, without distractions." But something had changed. The Bryn ambassador, who rarely spoke, leaned over to his assistant. "Did we make a mistake?" he whispered. His assistant shrugged, unsure. Outside, in the cool night air, the human group walked together, silent. Elena let out a long breath. "We gave them everything," she said softly, "and they didn't care." Her friend, Dr. Liam Chun, put a hand on her shoulder. "We'll show them. Someday, they'll see what they lost." Back inside, the Council talked and argued as always. They passed new rules, made trade deals, and joked about the humans' dramatic exit. But not everyone felt comfortable. Some of the smaller worlds, who had always liked the humans, now worried about who would help them when things went wrong. As the hours passed, the meeting became more tense. A computer expert from the Sylar race tried to fix a small problem in the Council's AI system. "Who changed the settings?" he asked, confused. The humans were the only ones who knew this code. But nobody could help. Far from the Council hall, on the edge of the city, the humans entered their ship. Elena looked back one last time at the shining towers of the capital. She remembered all the work her people had done, all the friendships made, all the lives saved. And now it was over. She promised herself that humanity would never beg to be part of the Council again. As their ship left the planet, a quiet worry spread through the Council. Most leaders didn't say it out loud, but deep inside, they wondered, what would happen now? What had they really lost? Outside, the stars shone just as bright as before. But for the first time in years, the galaxy felt a little colder and a little less safe. The day humanity left, everything changed, even if most were too proud to admit it. Asterisk first cracks in the SYSTM days passed, but the council hall no longer buzzed with the same confidence. Without humans, everything felt just a little off, like a machine missing a hidden piece. On the space station Gera, orbiting a distant trade world, Captain Irvin of the Zone watched the arrival board flicker. Strangely, ship schedules were wrong. A cargo vessel carrying rare crystals was late for the first time in years. A Valari merchant, nervous and red-eyed, waved her hands. "Why is my shipment delayed? This never happened before." Irvin called the control room. "Check with the human operator," he said out of habit. There was a silence, then a quiet. "Answer. Sir, we don't have any humans here anymore." Small problems appeared everywhere. A Bryn scientist's water filtration machine stopped working. The human engineer always fixed this. He grumbled. He tried to open the control panel, but the instructions were written in human code, a strange, simple way that only humans seemed to understand. Even at the capital, trouble grew. Security cameras glitched. One night, a swarm of shadowy drones buzzed across the city's sky. Usually, humans would be first to notice. Now nobody saw them until it was too late. The drones shut down a section of power, and thousands were left in darkness for hours. In the council hall, meetings became more tense. Lord Veron grew tired and snappish. "These are just normal problems," he told the others. Humans were always dramatic. They made us weak. Some nodded. Others weren't so sure. Meanwhile, on the outer world of Ferris, a pirate attack struck a small colony. Usually, the human rapid response fleet arrived within minutes. This time, it took hours. The pirates escaped, leaving the colony burned and frightened. In a quiet corner, a young Siler technician, Thierry, tried to fix a guidance computer for a council patrol ship. She pushed buttons and checked wires, but nothing worked. In frustration, she searched the old files and found a human-written guidebook. Its first page read, "If you are lost, start by listening." It sounded silly, but Thierry followed it, listening to the hum of the machine. She noticed a sound out of place a tiny click humans always seemed to hear. With a quick fix, the ship's system lit up. Thierry stared at the screen, feeling both proud and sad. She realized how often humans solved problems simply by noticing things others missed. The council leaders, busy with politics and pride, ignored the whispers of trouble. They believed they were too strong to fall. The galaxy runs on rules and order, not on one species' cleverness, Lord Veron told his advisors. But late at night, the council's central computer sent an alert. Critical error in communications. Array, human override required. Nobody understood what it meant. The council tech team worked all night, but nothing fixed it. The next morning, news spread of 3 more trade ships missing and a food shortage on an inner world. People started to grumble in the markets and spaceports. Where are the humans? They always helped us. Things felt safer when they were around. On her home ship, Ambassador Elena Reyes watched these events from far away. She read the news quietly, feeling a strange mix of sadness and quiet hope. Her friend Dr. Chun sat beside her, smiling softly. They will learn. The galaxy thinks it does not need us, but soon it will understand. Back on the capital, a young alien child, lost and crying in the busy city, was ignored by the crowd. For years, a human patrol officer would have knelt down, offered a snack, and helped him find his family. Now, the child sat alone for hours. Unnoticed. And in the darkness beyond the safe worlds, something new moved. Pirates, smugglers, and unknown threats, creatures that had always feared humanity's reputation. Now, sensing the change, they began to test the galaxy's strength. In the council hall, the great banners still hung, and the old leaders still argued. But deep down, fear crept into the hearts of even the proudest. The galaxy was changing. The small cracks in their perfect world were growing, and almost nobody wanted to admit it. Started the day the humans left. Ripple EFFEC ceased. The council believed they could fix the small problems. But the ripples spread further and deeper than anyone guessed. In distant colonies and busy city worlds, the results of humanity's absence were growing every day. On the cold mining planet of Auralis, deep underground, a group of miners gathered around a broken drilling machine. Sparks flickered in the dark. "Call the human team," someone said, but another shook his head. "There's no one left." They tried every repair manual, but the machine made strange, unhappy noises. No one remembered the small trick the old human foreman always used. The drill stayed silent, costing the colony hours and money. In the council's translation center, a huge argument was building. Two species, the insect-like Vask and the plant-bodied Mirren, were fighting over trade terms. Both spoke in riddles, using old metaphors and strange words. The human interpreter was gone, and the automatic translator kept making mistakes. Instead of peace, the meeting ended in shouting, and both delegations stormed out, angry and confused. Back on Gara Station, Captain Irvin walked past the observation deck and saw something that made him pause. A group of young aliens sat together, whispering and passing around a small blue notebook. Curious, he moved closer. He heard one say, "My brother learned this from a human teacher. Maybe it can help us fix the security system." Irvin watched as they followed old human instructions, pressing certain keys in a special pattern. After a tense moment, the system blinked back to life. The young aliens cheered quietly. Irvin felt both relieved and uneasy. "We're depending on human tricks now?" He thought. At the great university on Athis Prime, Professor Zura, a famous scientist, stood before a room full of students. Her new research project had failed 3 times, even though all calculations were perfect. The students sat in silence. Then, one student raised his hand. "Professor, should we try the human method?" The old human assistant always said to check for the thing nobody thinks about. Zura hesitated. In the past, she might have laughed. But now, desperate, she agreed. Together, they found the hidden flaw power connection humans had, warned about, but which the council had thought unnecessary. With the fix, the experiment finally worked. Zura wrote a note in her diary. "Humans see the world differently. Their way is missing from our science." Meanwhile, out on the rim, stories began to spread. Smugglers traded secret human fixes in dark bars. Some aliens started collecting human books and guides, treating them like treasure. Others went further. A group of rebels, chased by the Council's security drones, escaped by using an N. Old Earth trick hiding their heat signatures with mud and blankets. No one could catch them. The Council itself was beginning to argue more than usual. The Bryn ambassador, usually silent, finally spoke out. "We have lost more than trade partners. Humans kept us together. They solved our problems before we noticed them." Lord Veron snapped back. "We are strong enough. The humans only made us lazy." But Veron could not sleep that night. He remembered a time when his own child was sick, and it was a human doctor who saved her life with a strange, simple medicine. In the shadowed corners of the galaxy, pirates and old enemies grew bold. They attacked trade routes that humans used to patrol. Some worlds hired privateers for protection, but nothing was as effective as the humans' way of thinking: unpredictable, creative, stubborn. One day, an emergency call came to the council. A strange new plague was spreading on a water world, and the council's best scientists were failing. Only a human doctor had found a cure for a similar disease years ago, but now her knowledge was missing. The people of that world waited, growing sicker each day. As news spread, fear turned to anger. In the markets and the streets, people whispered, "Why did we let the humans go? Who will help us now?" On a quiet night, Thierry, the young Siler, technician, found an old human toy in her drawer, a small puzzle cube, once a gift from her human friend. She twisted it in her hands, thinking, maybe there is more to the human way than we thought. And in the dark, empty council hall, the empty human seats looked back at the leaders with silent accusation. The ripple effects had become waves. The galaxy was beginning to realize that something priceless was truly gone. Galactic tensions. RISE, the council hall felt colder each day. Long shadows stretched across empty chairs, and the absence of humanity grew heavier with every crisis. What started as minor troubles was now a storm of emergencies. On the ice world of Velith, an explosion ripped through a power plant, plunging a city into darkness. The council sent their best engineers, but the plant's backup system was built. With a human's clever design-coded instructions, safety switches labeled in English. The aliens argued over the controls, but couldn't bring the systems online. For the first time in decades, thousands spent the night freezing. Families huddled together as the storm raged outside. News of the failure spread fast. On the network, feeds, angry voices called out the council's pride. When the humans were here, things worked. Some leaders still refused to listen, blaming bad luck or sabotage. But out in the streets, fear became anger. Protests started. On distant planets, "Bring back the humans." A crowd shouted, holding up old Earth-made devices as proof of what they'd lost. A secret meeting gathered late one night, deep below the council's main tower. It was a room filled with old rivals' ambassadors who would never have spoken. Together before, Bryn, Siler, Zeln, Mirinol worried now. "We must do something," whispered the Bryn. "My world is suffering." The Siler nodded, her voice shaking. "I heard pirates have already taken over the space lanes. They say they're not afraid anymore." But pride still ruled the highest offices. Lord Veron, more tired than before, dismissed the rumors. "We cannot beg humanity to return. We are the council. If we admit our weakness, we lose all respect." On a mining asteroid, an accident trapped a dozen workers in a tunnel. A human rescue robot sat in a crate. Unused, no one could operate. Its strange controls. As oxygen levels dropped, an old miner remembered his time working with humans. In desperation, he pressed the robot's power button and tried to remember the old human jokes, the way his friend used to laugh when solving puzzles. He guessed at the controls, talking to the machine as if it could hear him. Miraculously, the robot's lights blinked, and it lurched to life, clearing a path and saving the workers just in time. Back at the council, two great empires, Valari and Zeln, clashed over a disputed moon. The old human diplomats, famous for their patience and creative deals, were gone. Talks turned bitter and cold, and soon warships moved to the border. Missiles were aimed, fingers hovered over launch buttons. It was only a lucky accident and outdated human-made alert system that caught a coding error in the targeting software, preventing a disaster. But the diplomats argued late into the night, unable to trust each other. Meanwhile, rumors of a hidden human network grew stronger. Desperate for help, a few planets started to reach out in secret. On shadowy channels, they sent messages. "If any human hears this, we need you." Far from the center of power, in dusty corners of the galaxy, alien children played games they'd learned from their human friends, games about problem solving, teamwork, and hope. Some parents smiled sadly, remembering when things felt brighter. But in the council hall, the great leaders kept up the act. They held more meetings, argued louder, and made more rules. But the rules changed nothing. Everywhere, things got worse. In the darkness, above a broken trade route, pirates gathered. They had feared the humans, but now they laughed, daring each other to strike closer and closer to the capital dot and across the galaxy. 1,000 small alarms rang out in the night fires, fights, sickness, loss. Each time, someone asked, "Who will help us now?" The cracks in the council had become deep, jagged lines. Everyone could see it, everyone except those who were too proud or too afraid to admit the truth. The galaxy was on the edge. Something would have to change soon. Asterisk search for a SOLUTAON late one evening. The council hall echoed with voices raised in panic. A red emergency alert flashed across every screen. Colony in peril. Supernova expected. 8 million lives at risk. The world of Rithian 6, a small water planet, had less than 48 hours before a nearby star exploded. Their entire civilization could be lost. In the past, humans had helped design the planet's massive shield generators. The evacuation system was their invention, too, a blend of human intuition and alien technology. Now, nobody could make it work. The codes were locked, the controls written in a mix of languages only human engineers seemed to truly understand. As the news spread, the council fell into chaos. Some leaders demanded immediate action. Others blamed each other for not preparing. The Rithian ambassador, her blue skin pale with fear, pleaded for help. "My people are scared. We trusted the council. Where are the heroes we were promised?" Behind closed doors, a group of younger council members met in secret. Thierry, the Siler technician, and Captain Irvin of Gara Station sat beside two others, a Mirren and a Bryn. "We cannot wait for the council," Irvin said, voice low. "I have a contact, an old friend, a human engineer who left with her people. She always said, 'When you need us, you know where to find us.'" Thierry looked worried. "But the rules," Irvin shook his head. "If we follow the rules, millions die." They sent a message on a private channel, using a code only a few humans had known. "The galaxy needs you. Please respond." Hours ticked by. In the public chamber, arguments grew louder. Lord Veron refused to ask humanity for help, even as protests raged outside and news broadcasts showed families fleeing in terror on RETHIN-6. At last, Irvin's communicator beeped a reply. A short, simple text. "Tell me everything. I'll try." In a rented cargo ship at the edge of Council. Space, Dr. Maya Patel, former chief engineer, read the message. She looked around at her small group of human exiles. Some were angry, others tired. But none had forgotten what it meant to be needed. "We don't owe them anything," one man muttered. Maya shook her head. "No, we don't, but innocent. Lives aren't their fault. We help people, not politicians." She began to send instructions, how to unlock the shield generator codes, what to look for in the evacuation system, even advice on how to calm the Rithian population during the panic. Her words were simple, practical, full of hidden wisdom. Back on Rithian 6, Thierry relayed the instructions to local engineers. "Human advice," she whispered. "Let's hope it's enough." Together, they followed Maya's steps, sometimes guessing, sometimes inventing, sometimes just trusting. That humans always seemed to find a way. The evacuation began. Shuttles launched by the hundreds. The shield generator hummed, and for the first time in days, hope returned. But not everything went smoothly. Halfway through the process, a major circuit failed. Thierry froze. Then, remembering a human saying, If nothing works, hit it gently and ask nicely. She laughed bitterly, slapped the panel, and tried again. The generator roared back to life. In the council hall, the leaders watched news feeds in disbelief. The disaster was being managed. Rithian 6 would be saved, and everyone knew why. Quietly, without fanfare, Thierry and Irvin sent a final message. "Thank you. We could not have done this without you." Maya replied, "Look after your people. Remember what matters." On every news channel, the story spread. The humans had saved a world, even after being pushed aside. On the streets, the chant grew. "We need them. Bring back the humans." The council was shaken. Lord Veron stared out the window, face heavy with regret, while ambassadors whispered about change. For the first time, the galaxy saw how much they depended on the very people they'd driven away. But would pride or humility win? That answer still hung in the air. And far away, the humans watched in silence, waiting to see what the council would do next. Consequences in Arisi K09D. The news from Rithian 6 changed everything. For the first time, the galaxy saw the council's mask slip. On 1,000 worlds, screens showed the same image. Millions saved, but only because of the humans they had once called unnecessary. Protests erupted across the galaxy. Crowds gathered outside council buildings, waving banners, some handmade, some projected as holograms into the sky. "Bring back the humans. Council failed us. We remember who our real heroes were." Small planets threatened to leave. The council. Old rivals started backroom deals for their own protection. Trust, once the council's strongest bond, was now broken. Inside the council hall, the mood was dark and restless. Even Lord Veron's voice shook as he tried to restore order. "This is temporary. We must show strength," he said. But no one looked convinced. In the halls and corridors, whispers grew. "Did you hear? The Valeri are secretly talking with human exiles. The Bryn ambassador sent a gift to the humans in apology, some say. Pirates are asking for human mercenaries, offering double pay." But the deepest wound was in the council's heart. Many leaders, once proud and confident, now struggled with shame. The Bryn ambassador, always steady, stood and addressed the chamber. "We made a mistake. We let pride decide for us, not wisdom. I cannot ignore what I've seen. I ask this council, will we say sorry, or will we pretend nothing has changed?" Silence fell. Even Lord Veron looked away, unable to answer. On a distant farming world, a disaster struck. Floods swept through valleys, destroying homes. In the past, humans had taught locals how to build floating barriers, clever, cheap, and fast. Now, the desperate villagers watched the water rise, searching old files for the human way. A group of children found instructions on a forgotten data stick. Working together, the village built the barriers just in time. Their parents hugged them, grateful for the wisdom left behind. Meanwhile, criminal groups and pirates grew bolder. Without human patrols, a smuggler kingpin hijacked a cargo fleet, holding it for ransom. Council warships arrived, but their strategies were predictable. The pirates mocked their efforts, boasting, "You were safer when the humans were here." A shocking message arrived at the council, a warning from the edge of the galaxy. An ancient enemy, long feared, was returning. The council's defense network was built by humans, using secrets only they fully understood. Repairs had been neglected, codes forgotten, shortcuts taken. Panic spread. Could the council defend the galaxy if war truly came? Back on her ship, Ambassador Aina Rias watched the reports with heavy eyes. "They're learning, but it hurts," she said softly. "Doctor." Maya Patel nodded. "The only question now is, will they ask for help or pretend everything's fine?" That night, a young alien from the Silo world made a simple gesture. She uploaded a video across the galaxy. My name is Tiri. I am alive today because of a human friend. We made mistakes. It's time to fix them. I am sorry. The video went viral. Soon, aliens from every world shared stories of human kindness rescued miners, saved children, wise teachers, lost ships brought home. Each story was different, but the message was the same. We miss our friends. We want them back. The council called an emergency meeting. For the first time, leaders arrived without their expensive robes or proud banners. They sat together as equals, eyes tired but hopeful. Lord Veron stood, voice breaking, and said, "We were wrong. If we do not change, the galaxy will fall. Apart, we must reach out to humanity, ask them to return, not as helpers, but as partners." A seat was held. This time, it was unanimous. A message was sent into the stars, a message of apology, hope, and an invitation to return. As it traveled across the galaxy, millions waited, hearts full of fear, hope, and longing. And in a quiet room on the far side of space, a group of humans gathered to read the council's words. Asterisk, the return, or the WRNIN. Message sped through the silent dark, across hundreds of light years, apology, plea, and hope encoded in every word. For days, the galaxy held its breath. Every council world waited for a reply. Would humanity answer? Would they forgive the council that had once turned its back on them? On board their distant ship, the human delegation gathered. Elena Reyes, Dr. Maya Patel, and the rest sat in silence, reading the council's words projected in the air before them. It was not a perfect apology. There were awkward phrases and proud words tucked between honest regret. But in the end, the message was clear. We were wrong. Without you, we are lost. We do not ask you to serve us. We ask you to stand beside us as partners and equals. Will you come home? For a long time, no one spoke. Some humans felt vindicated. Others, still hurt, whispered about staying away forever. Elena thought of all the worlds they had helped, the children they had saved, the friends they had lost. She thought of the galaxy's new dangers, the old enemies gathering at the borders, the cries for help echoing across space. That night, Elena stood outside, staring at the stars. She remembered the day humanity left the council, how cold the galaxy had felt, how small. Now, she felt the weight of millions of lives hanging in the balance. She called the team together and gave her answer. We will not return because we are needed. We will return because we choose hope over pride. But things will be different. No more secrets, no more arrogance on either side. The next morning, a new message crossed the stars. We accept your apology. We will return not as servants, but as equals. We ask for your trust, your honesty, and your willingness to change. If you give us this, we will give you all we have. The reply was met with cheers in the council hall. On every world, crowds celebrated, lighting lanterns, waving banners, singing old Earth songs. Even the proudest leaders wept. Lord Veron, broken and humbled, stood before the chamber and bowed as the human delegation ship landed once again on the council's capital world. But there was a twist the council did not expect. When Elena and her team entered the grand hall, they did not come alone. Behind them walked a small group of other species, the weak, the forgotten, the ones who had never been invited to the council's inner circle. Elena spoke clearly, her words echoing in the silent room. If you want us to return, then others must be welcomed too. No more closed doors. Every world matters. Every voice counts. There was resistance. Some old leaders frowned, uncomfortable. But the crowds watching on every planet saw the truth in Elena's words. Slowly, the council agreed. One by one, new ambassadors took their seats, alongside humans, Bryn, Siler, Valeri, and all the rest, a new age began. Human engineers taught, others to repair and innovate. Alien scientists shared secrets once kept from Earth. Children grew up learning 100 ways to solve a problem, not just one. The pirates and old enemies, seeing the galaxy united once again, fell back into the shadows. But the story ended with one last shiver. On a distant moon, far from the Council's reach, a lonely machine flickered to life. A message blinked across, its ancient screen written in English, but with a code no one could break. Never forget what was lost and what was found. The camera pulls back, showing the wide galaxy stars shining, worlds turning, a future rebuilt from the lessons of pride, pain, and hope. And out there, somewhere in the dark, humanity watched the stars, ready for whatever came next. The end asterisk.